Hi, this is Jason McCarthy at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. In the next hour, in a few moments' time, in fact, we'll be hearing from Phil with our match debrief, looking back at the defeat against Cheltenham last Saturday. Also, coming up, we'll hear from the manager, his thoughts after that performance at Warden Road as well. Gareth Ainsworth, as the ambassador of Wycombe-based One Can Trust, the food bank which serves South Bucks. He's been visiting their operation this week as well, which we'll hear from Joe, who is their operations manager too. Also coming up, find out how I got on last Friday on a night out. What do you mean? What's that got to do with football? It was the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association annual dinner. Oh, I see, that's right then. We'll catch up with Vince Faulkner and Wycombe Wanderers assistant manager Richard Dobson, who we don't get to hear from very often, but I cornered him in the Caledonian suite. And we'll hear from him a bit later on as well. No men's action, of course, this weekend to look ahead to, because, well, it's the second round of the FA Cup, and well, you know. But we turn our attention to Wycombe Wanderers Women. We'll hear from their manager, Carl Simon, and Bobby Lynch as well, who's on her way back from injury. I made it sound like she's on her way back from somewhere, a day out. But that and more on the way as well. By which time, I must say a big hello to you if you're listening whilst Wycombe Wanderers Women are training. I'm told that this show is taken in by some on the sidelines at training at Burnham, which is very exciting, and a special hello to the Wycombe Wanderers Women as well when they catch up with the show, possibly on the podcast version, owing to the fact that they train on a Thursday and also a Tuesday. More on that a bit later on, but first, if you happened to miss or would like to relive what happened on Saturday, the Cheltenham game, your match commentator, of course, was Phil Catchpole.
Welcome to Warden Road. Wycombe Wanderers travel down the A40 to take on Cheltenham Town in League One. Looking towards David Wheeler, headed clear by Taylor, only as far as Scowen. Knocks it back to Tapazzoli, into Mawson in the centre circle. Drills it over the top looking for McCleary. It's a delicious great ball. Oh, volleyed first time and beaten away by the keeper. What a ball and what a strike.
That was exceptional. We've seen that a lot from Mawson this season. He's just able to dig out those sort of pinpoint diagonal passes, and yeah, great first time strike from McCleary. Well defended after a good save from the keeper, and then well defended with the rebound.
They've just played a FIFA prediction game, and Wycombe won 10-0. So that's a little outlandish from this point. We'll have a go.
Well, who knows?
Caleb Taylor nods the ball down to David Wheeler. Wheeler to Mehmeti. Mehmeti on the left-hand side. Puts it onto his right foot. Cuts it back to Scowen. Side-footed shot deflected twice. Big shout for handball, and it's still not clear. And it's now nodded back to the keeper. Mawson goes long to Vokes. Raglan wins the header. Oh, that's a poor touch by Circum, allows him free. Wheeler. Oh, and he whistles the first-time shot just past the post. And Liam Circum is breathing a big sigh of relief there, because that was a terrible touch by the experienced midfielder. And David Wheeler, first time effort, he knew exactly where the goal was, and he's put that inches wide. And Lundulu spreads it wide to May. May on the left channel, calling the penalty area now. Goes for goal again, deflected, and it's there. He's done it again, Alfie May. And that's why the Wycombe fans shuddered when they saw his name on the team sheet. Right-footed deflected shot, loops over Striek. 25 minutes on the clock. Cheltenham 1, Wycombe 0. It's that man again. Mehmeti to Abita. Abita goes on the run. He goes past Olelinka, puts the ball into the area. Folks gets up. Oh, the header is goal bound, and it's too close to the keeper. Mehmeti up against Raglan. Mehmeti, right-footed shot, deflected and beaten away. That's a great save. McCleary always beating his man. McCleary across the face of goal. Caleb Taylor again there. Freeman. The centre circle. Still going Mawson. Still going Mawson. Goes for goal. It's deflected and lands just over the bar and ruffles the back of the net. And it was a terrible optical illusion there. For 1 minute I thought he'd got in. The next minute I wasn't sure. And I thought he'd got in again. And that was incredibly close. Towards Vokes. Vokes wins the flick onto Hanlon. Hanlon backing into his defender, he's inside the box now, he's away from him.
That's great from Hanlon.
Brilliant from Hanlon, cuts it back. On Raglan, where did he come from? Because Lewis Wing was just waiting to roll the ball into the empty net, and Brandon Hanlon has done superbly well, and Wycombe have won their fourth corner of the game. But if it wasn't for Raglan, it would be 1-1. Luke Southwood now puts the ball down on the turf and clears long. The referee blows his whistle, and the Cheltenham fans rise to their feet They've beaten the Chairboys here at Wadham Road 1-0. The goal from Alfie May in the 25th minute was enough to get the 3 points, and that's a disappointing afternoon, Johnny King, for the Chairboys.
Yeah, even though their goal was maybe a bit lucky, you have to say Wycombe didn't deserve anything from this, didn't deserve a point, so Cheltenham may as well have all 3.
And we'll leave with the full-time score here at Wadham Road. Cheltenham Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 0.
Match commentary from Saturday afternoon, highlights in inverted commas from the game at Cheltenham here on Wycombe Sound and also on Wanderers TV as well. Johnny King summarising with our very own Phil Catchpole. Well, I say our very own in terms of a guest on this show. He's also, of course, Wycombe Wanderers head of audio and broadcast, host of Ringing in the Blues, and, of course, as mentioned, our match commentator as well. I'm very pleased to say that Phil joins us on the show once again, and a strange performance, especially bearing in mind what happened at Fleetwood the week before.
Yeah, 2 results really that kind of sum up the season a little bit. Inconsistency, isn't it? Can't really string too many results together. Although they were on a really good run of away wins, 3 in a row, without conceding a goal, sort of spread over a period of time. But, yeah, it was just odd that Forest Green down the bottom, struggling. Wycombe, I thought, did really well and very efficient to win that game 2-0. But Cheltenham, same system that Cheltenham played. Wycombe played their same system as well. And I guess you have to give credit to Cheltenham for probably doing their homework on Wycombe. The spaces behind the wing-backs just weren't there, and Wycombe just couldn't find a way through. And it was a deflected goal by Cheltenham, but they happen. But just a 1 goal. And I think the disappointing thing at the moment is that Wycombe of old, a goal down in a game, would come back. You would always expect them to come back, and it's not happened that much. I think we were behind against Peterborough and beat them at Adams Park, but those comeback victories have been very few and far between in this last sort of six months to a year maybe. And yeah, that's the dispiriting thing a little bit, is because normally you would expect the blood and thunder to fight, just to smash the door down and get the equaliser and maybe even go on to nick a winner. But that just wasn't looking likely on Saturday. It felt a little bit flat as well. But again, credit to Cheltenham, because they were playing in front of their home fans for the first time since they lost to Alfchurch in the FA Cup with a strong team. And I think their manager said, look, you owe the fans one here. And they really, really dug in and fought very, very hard. But again, that's what happens week in, week out in League One, and Wycombe have just got to roll their sleeves up now.
And we heard about Joe Jacobson's suspension before kick-off, and he was clearly missed.
Yeah, that was the one change going into the side enforced. And Jordan Beattie is a very capable left back. He's got a great left foot. But yeah, Joe Jacobson, that back 4 against Forest Green, it just sort of added up a bit more of a Wycombe identity, didn't it? Because JJ's been with us for so long. But he's going to be a big blow, not just for the Cheltenham game, but it's going to be against Pompey and Lincoln as well, the 3-game suspension. But yeah, again, one of those things really in football, those post-match things where they get picked up. And because he didn't get booked, it meant he was susceptible to that. But there we go. But yeah, missed massively on Saturday. And we talked about the characters and the fight in the team. And it's just having I guess he's a general, he's the captain of the team as well. And maybe it was his sort of game on Saturday, and I think that's why we really missed him. But, Gareth Ainsworth spoke to him after the game, and, again, he was disappointed at parts of it, but was always finding the positives too.
We were a different team to last week. Forest Green, we tore them apart, played some brilliant football around the edge of the box. Today, it just wasn't there, So there was a lack of quality in them final third areas, We get the long ball up to Volksy at times, and it drops down, and then we've got to play, we've got to settle it better. We didn't do today, Everything dropped to them, every deflection, every ricochet went to them, and sometimes you do that, but it's one of those frustrating days where they have a couple of shots on our goal, one of them deflected and goes in, and they've got a lead to hang on to. But got to give Cheltenham credit, got to give them big credit. They scrapped, they fought, they defended with 6 at the back at times, and said, right, break us down, and we couldn't. We really couldn't, and that's down to me. Got to make sure we can be better against teams that defend against us. We're considered a big club now in this league, and people want a result against us. And you heard the final whistle, the crowd, the roar of the crowd. It's a big win for them, and fair play, Cheltenham. Yep, well done.
Just the one change to the team enforced due to the suspension of Joe Jacobson. So similar system as well, but two performances that look very different apart from each other. I mean, fans will be wondering how that's possible.
Yeah, worlds apart. I think some players weren't as good as they were last week. Some players, maybe we're a little bit with the physical side of it, got outdone, and yeah, it's not good to see. But we'll pick the bones out of it. We've got 2 weeks now to go again, and Portsmouth at home, which will be a cracking game, obviously. But I mean, this team went to Ipswich last week and got a point, so it's not doom and gloom. It's not like we've been turned over massively, but disappointing key moments as well. There was a big chance right at the start of the second half that if we take that, I think it's a different game. Our corners were overhit. We didn't really trouble Cheltenham too much today. We got up there, huffed and puffed, didn't really create anything that was major, and neither did they, but they had that deflected shot that looped in over Max.
I suppose when you saw Alfie May's name on the team sheet, if anyone was going to score today, it was probably going to be him.
Yeah, and that's the story of the game. Deflected in from us, and we didn't get anything. We didn't get any luck in the game today. But you've got to make your own luck, and you've got to win your personal battles. You've got to have quality on the ball. I'll be working on all that. Don't worry about that. It's been a tough result today, but we go again. 2 weeks at home against Portsmouth. I'm sure we'll be well up for that one. It's on TV, middle of the World Cup. Everyone's going to be up for it. So a tough journey home, but I'll pick the boys up.
With no game next week, coming off the back of this, it's not a break, but a break of competitive football. Going into that on the back of a defeat, is that more difficult now? Yeah, of course. I wanted them to have 2 weeks sitting on a win, and we'll have to have a look at what we're going to do next week now. And I think probably when people build barriers against us like they're doing, how do we break them down? Well, we played some great stuff around the back, and we're keeping possession of the ball, which is something that is new to us this year. But then when we get to the final third, we must find ways of breaking teams down better than we do, and it is tough. Teams are going to camp out. We've got to find a way of working their keeper better. Like I say, nothing fell for us, and there was some key moments which we just didn't take today, and I'm going to have to pick these boys up for next week, because there's 14 days now where we're going to have no football, and they're going to be wondering who's playing against Portsmouth.
As you say, always really positive, and he seemed also almost a bit sort of puzzled at times, because the difference between the two performances from the previous week's game as well.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what's so weird about football, because, like I say, it was two teams playing against each other in the same systems. Like Forest Green and Cheltenham had the same setup. Wycombe played their same formation and system that they did against Forest Green, with virtually the same set of players. And then two very different results, obviously, but two very different performances. And that's what's really difficult to fathom. There wasn't a midweek game. There wasn't a case of being leggy or tired. And I think as well, when Wycombe, I think they were really struggling with Caleb Taylor, the big centre-back, because they were trying to hit the diagonals to Sam Vokes, and Caleb Taylor, I think he was 6'6", maybe, young centre-back on loan from West Brom, had a really, really excellent game. But there we are. They almost ran out of ideas in that second half, really, which was disappointing. Because when you look on paper, they've got a great squad, Mehmeti, McCleary, Nick Freeman. These are players, creative players that can unlock a door. And they just weren't really getting involved in the final third or finding any craft in that final third. So I'm sure Gareth and Dobbo are using this weekend off football, competitive football, this break. They've been working hard, no doubt, on plan Bs and working their way around that final third now, approaching that game a week on Sunday against Pompey, which will be a massive game at Adams Park.
Now, you mentioned the sort of the battling aspect of the team, which is usually there. That did seem to be missing on Saturday, which, again, as you say, that'll be something that they'll be working on to get back this week.
Yeah, it's that team spirit, the generals, and also a settled side as well. The injuries are coming back now, which is brilliant, but we just hopefully need to get a run together where they can have certainly a settled spine of the team, and really kind of getting their sleeves rolled up and stuck in. I mean, Josh Gowan doesn't look to be suffering from the injury that kept him out for so long. He's come back, and there's been a few little rusty moments, but that's to be expected after a fairly long layoff. But he's looking like he'll be back to his very best incredibly soon, which is great. And he's got that extra week now as well in training to really get up to speed. And he'll relish that game against Pompey, which will be a real battle as well, no doubt, against a Danny Cowley side that's always going to be a tough match.
It does feel like this break has come at a good time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It kind of does and doesn't really, because if you go into that long break off the back of a defeat and a disappointing performance, which is what Wycombe have done, then there's a stat kind of hangs over that break, doesn't it? But then also maybe they can use that as the motivation to not do that again. They're probably living with that now every day in training, and they'll be looking for the next game to get that game out of their system. And then it's a long wait. It's over 2 weeks. since the Cheltenham game to the Pompey game. So maybe that's what the driving motivation is, to go towards that Pompey game. I mean, Gareth Ainsworth is the best man motivator, I think, in League One, and he's going to be using that, no doubt, this week in training and next week, to make sure when they cross the white line at Adams Park against Portsmouth that they are raring to go to get the 3 points.
And interesting that you said to you after the game, the players will be wondering who'll be playing against Portsmouth.
Yeah, well, we all will be. That's the beauty of football, isn't it? And it's a big squad that Gareth has got. He's got options. I said players are coming back as well. And he'll no doubt be looking at that behind closed doors. He never really calls people out in public, does he? There would have been people who were disappointed him against Cheltenham. And maybe the people now knocking on his door saying, look, it's my turn to impress. And maybe it'll be a change of system. We'll see. I'll be amazed if it's the same starting 11 that played against Cheltenham. We'll see, because Pompey will have a different system. It'd be very competitive against Pompey. The Danny Cowley teams always tend to be incredibly brutal to play against. I remember when they were managing Lincoln and a 0-0 draw up at their place with the Cowleys in charge I think they could have played it without a ball almost. It was that sort of brutal, but we'll see what happens. But I'm no doubt he's been working incredibly hard at training with them, and we don't get to see what goes on at training, but he'll no doubt get them fired up and raring to go against Pompey, because that's a big game, and big teams and big games, Wycombe tend to pick themselves up. So I'm no doubt next week, after this week, they'll probably be disappointed. I think next week they'll be looking upwards to that game and thinking, right, here's our chance to put it right in front of our home fans as well, because let's not forget, we've had 4 games at Adams Park now without a win. So they're going to be desperate to put that right as well against a massive team like Pompey.
And of course, you won't be bringing us the match commentary on Saturday, but I guess hopefully you'll be taking the opportunity to do something a bit different, perhaps.
Well, do you know what? Typically, it was like, we're in the World Cup, aren't we? So you can't move for televised football. It's great to watch all these games and everything, especially like during the day, like the morning kickoffs and that, because of the time zone difference. I have to say, I looked at the fixture list, the domestic fixture list on Saturday, and was thinking, well, where could I get to? Maybe I can go and see a game and not commentate, because sometimes it's quite nice to do that. I love doing the commentary, obviously, but sometimes it's nice to go and have a beer and shout a bit of the football as well. I remember what it's like to be on the terrace, because I do really miss being on the terrace sometimes. Maybe I'll pop up at a game somewhere on Saturday. But as a train strike, I think as well, that might determine where I end up.
Brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, Colin. Always a pleasure.
Phil Catchpole could end up at a football game near you very, very soon over this weekend, train strike permitting. Don't forget, you can hear the chat with Gareth in full on Wanderers TV.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth once again in his role as an ambassador for the Wycombe-based food bank One Can Trust when he visited their warehouse this week. But first, last Friday I was very fortunate to be invited to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association annual dinner. I had 2 puddings because Susie, who was sat next to me, didn't have room for hers, I don't think, so I was pleased to supply that service and have her sticky toffee pudding as well. The food was excellent, the company was very good as well. Also ran into season ticket holder Steve Dell and Rob Priest. Special hello to them. I went to Cubs and Scouts and school with them. Really nice to see them. Martin O'Neill was there too, of course, and he was on a table with lots of other Wycombe legends, including Terry Evans and Keith Ryan and Matt Crosley, and others as well. Also, Steve Hayes was there, Ivor Beeks was there, had a birthday cake. There were special awards presented to Matt Bloomfield, who wasn't there. He was plotting the next result for Colchester, of course, and Gareth Ainsworth and Richard Dobson received a special award as well. More on that very, very soon, but caught up with Vince Faulkner, who's on committee, and was reflecting on a very successful evening.
Well, it's just, again, another tremendous evening. JDT, supported by John Bignell, they put it together, especially JDT, did a tremendous job behind the scene. We've not seen him physically for a few months because of the COVID scenario, but he's been working tirelessly at home, and it proves its point tonight, doesn't it, really, at the end of the day. The people that have been here, the accolades that have been coming. Absolutely brilliant evening.
And something really special as well that someone like yourself has kept in touch with so many of your former teammates and able to see them this evening too.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I think you've had the stories before from Keith Samuels and Keith Searle and myself that there are 6 of us who played in the 60s and early 70s that still play golf together twice a week. We play regularly every week, so we've kept in touch. And both myself, Keith Samuels, were both on the ex-players committee. We're still heavily involved, and it's great to be part of the family club.
And a real sense of pride looking back over the 135 years as well.
Goodness me, I was part of it for 9 years, and going back to the 60s and early 70s, as I said. Just a great feeling to be. I think they hit the nail on the head where they said as soon as people know you played for Wycombe Wanderers, it's just the elevation of your rises. It's unbelievable.
And to be here today at the sort of present day of Wycombe, it must feel like a great part that you and your teammates have played in the foundations, really.
No, that's right. Yeah, every stage has gone on, hasn't it? Really, we're amateurs, but it's a building block for the current side with Gareth as it is today in Dobbo. So I look back fondly thinking that I was a part of it, and it's great.
Fantastic to be able to share your experiences with other generations of players.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and my grandsons love it as well. I've got 3 grandsons, so they all love that Gramps played for Wycombe Wanderers. So it's something for them to say and be proud of as well. So it's very good.
And hopefully an event like this will continue for years to come.
Well, we hope so. Yeah, I think it was mentioned earlier. John Maskell, the River goalkeeper, we run the quiz together, which is our next event in March. We have 4 events a year, and we're part of the family. So it's really, really nice.
A fantastic event, and big thanks to JDT as well and Alan Hutchison for their hospitality. It was brilliant to attend. Loads going on. The current management team, of course, of Gareth Ainsworth and Richard Dobson were there. They were being given life membership awards for a decade in charge, and also Matt Bloomfield as well, who did himself a brilliant service to the club as well with 19 years in the Wanderers shirt. He picked up a similar honour as well, which, as I say, he wasn't there unfortunately, but Richard Dobson collected that on his behalf, and brilliant to speak to the assistant manager as well to get his thoughts on the evening.
I love this evening, when you see all the old teammates together from the 60s and 70s, and it's like they've never stepped out of that dressing room. It's lovely to see the connections that the club has with these players, and the connections between them eras, the managers and the players that were playing together all those years ago.
And really nice to accept Matt Bloomfield's award on his behalf as well, and to present, I should say. And it's fantastic that you sort of work with him, sort of an experienced player like that, but some of the young players that you brought through as well.
Yeah, it's such a shame that Matt wasn't here tonight to accept it, because I think he would have felt the warmth in the room for him and what he's achieved at the football club. So, it's just a little bit disappointing that he couldn't be here, but obviously his job's important at the moment, and he's got to do what he's got to do for Colchester. Having said that, he's been a wonderful servant for the club, a real role model for everybody involved at the club over his 19 years, and I'm delighted that we could accept that award for him, and he's getting the recognition that he fully deserves.
There must be a real sense of pride for yourself and the manager of the young players that you brought through too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've for me, it's been 15, 16 years at the club now. So a lot of them players that I brought through as kids, like to Josh Scowen, late 20s, and making me feel a little bit old at the moment. But it's lovely to see the growth in them. It's wonderful to see the pride that those boys have when they play for the club and what the club means. And long may that continue.
And I've heard with an interview before that you and Gareth have tracked players for years before you might even bring them to the club, and it's fascinating to see that you're keeping an eye on that sort of talent as well.
Yeah. We're very careful about who we bring in. We've established a culture here which is really quite unique in football, I think, and we certainly don't want to bring anybody in there that might destabilise that. So being the right character is paramount to the skill set that we want to see in the players that come in, and it's about being a good person first and foremost, and a good footballer secondly.
And watching some of those highlights on the screen tonight really emphasises the relationship that you and Gareth have.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and you get to know each other very intimately over that period of time. So I understand what makes Gareth tick, and I'm sure he does the same for me, and we've got each other's backs whenever we need each other. So it's a great relationship, and I can't not mention Dave Waits and Kean O'Doherty, who have been with us a long time as well. It's a real team effort. effort, and hopefully that can continue for many years to come.
And brilliant that you've both been given the time to work with the players and the experiences that you've had along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, time is a difficult commodity to come by in football, isn't it? At Watford you tend to get about 10 games, so to get 600 is, I'm very proud of that. But I thank all those at the football club that have backed us over the years. We've had wonderful support from not just the supporters but the people within the club, and I think their faith in us has helped us in terms of trying to build a football club over a longer period of time that you wouldn't normally necessarily get.
And since the Cougs have been in charge as well, does it feel like a really exciting time to be at the club?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every era is different, and there's an excitement with every era that you get. So, this is a fairly new era, different owners, different ideas, but another couple of people that want to really take the club forward. And if we can help them do that, then we'd be absolutely delighted. They've got big ideas for the club. They've obviously fallen in love with it pretty quickly over the years, and let's hope that we can work together and take the club further than we have done already.
And Martin mentioned the expectation at the club. That's fantastic that the fans want the team to do so well, and are disappointed to see the 3 points off the playoffs at the moment.
Hopefully that was a little bit tongue in cheek. We haven't done in my eyes. I think we could do better. We've obviously been hit by injuries early on, and that's a disappointing thing, because I think with a full strength side we'd probably be higher up the league. But those players are coming back to us now, and you saw last week at Forest Green, Josh Scowen comes in and makes such a big difference to us. So with Tafazoli back now, and one or two others near in fitness, hopefully we can attack the league a little bit more over the coming months and push for those playoffs.
And I know defensive is something you're working on a lot yourself, and is that something you've been working on especially recently, the defensive errors, trying to cut those out?
Yeah, we've been hit quite hard by silly mistakes, and we obviously review everything, and unusual circumstances, particularly from set pieces. The game against Walsall recently, they left 1v1 at the back and threw an extra body in, which is unheard of in 10 years of working in football. I've not come across that, and it ends up falling to that one spare player's foot and he scored. So we've been hit quite hard. Normally you get away with them mistakes because the ball doesn't find that person, but just recently it's taken its toll on us in terms of goals against. So we've had a discussion about it. You don't want to make it a crisis, because it isn't. We've just got to be aware of the things that we can do better in them circumstances, and work hard to achieve clean sheets as we did last week.
And just finally, what's your sort of overall assessment of the season so far?
We've been hit and miss, if I'm totally honest. As I say, there's reasons behind that. Our first choice 11 is a match for anybody in the division. We haven't been able to put that side out as much as we'd like, and we've had to rely on some young players along the way. Obviously, when you blood them, it's a good thing because they're getting experience, but they'll make mistakes as young players do, and that's just the nature of blooding those young boys. So, as I say, I think if we can build on the fitness of these players coming back into the side and get a little bit of a run going with a settled team, I think we'll be better prepared for the second half of the season, and a real crack at trying to get into them playoff positions in what is an incredibly tough league this season.
Pleasure to speak to Richard Dobson at the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association annual dinner, which took place last Friday at Adams Park. A real highlight, of course. Had some brilliant feedback from supporters as well, who really enjoy listening to the ex-player chats that we have on the show. Many more to come as well. I really enjoyed chatting to and meeting some of those ex-players on Friday night as well, from all sorts of different eras of the club. And you can catch a lot of the photos on the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association Facebook page as well. Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll be hearing from Wycombe Wanderers Women boss Carl Simon, as well as Bobby Lynch, and we've got a special message from a bit of a special guest as well with regard to the women's team, still to come this hour as well. But first, the manager went along to the One Can Trust warehouse this week on Tuesday afternoon. Gareth Ainsworth is an ambassador, along with Russell Brand, for the food bank, and he was chatting to Phil, who was there with Wanderers TV.
I've been an ambassador for quite some time here, and been meaning to come down, see what the process is, see the size of the operation. It's incredible. It really is. If you think a food bank is just donating in a supermarket and that tin of beans goes to a household, you are totally misguided, because if you come down here, you see the volunteers, the guys and girls in the warehouse, which is behind us, sorting all the packages out, sorting all the donations out, which is a massive job, putting it into bags that are appropriate for families with one child, single parent, 2 children, 4 children. It's an amazing process, you know, not just that they've got people in the offices then helping out on the care after it. And, you know, for me to see this, it really has opened my eyes, you know. I was one of those person who thought, yeah, just donate there and you actually don't know what happens to it. Come down here and hear the stories of the people who need it. And, you know, to be the manager of the football club in this community where, you know, it's gone up from 200 people, 200 families needed help before the pandemic. Now we're touching 800 families in Wycombe. We really need to put this place on the map and get some more donations, some more volunteers, a bigger space one day. But I've been blown away by the humanity of people, you know. It's brilliant, you know, because we do avoid perspective. I say that a lot. This is perspective. These people are helping people who really, really need it. And I'm all for playing my part. How small it is, you know, I feel a bit embarrassed because these are really working hard. But if I can raise some awareness for the one can, it'd be immense.
You know a thing or two about team spirit, but meeting the volunteers and the people that work here, it's a great atmosphere here, isn't it?
Brilliant. You know, there's teamwork going on all over the place, you know, and some of the girls reading the sell-by dates on things, and then that can't go to there because it's out of date or in date, or that belongs here and that belongs here, and there's just different sections of everything. You don't realise that there's nappies that kids will need whose families can't afford them. You know, that must be worrying, you know, because you can't stop the process that you need nappies for, you know, things like that. You know, the food, the basics that they get. And then lucky enough to see Graham Peart and Trevor Stroud, to people who see down a lot of Wycombe, being here today and helping out, getting fresh food involved, fresh fruit involved to these families, because you can't live off just dry goods all the time. Honestly, I'm just blown away by the whole size of this operation. You know, Kate Brewster, who I've been in touch with over the time of being ambassador, has been desperate to get me down here, and I can see why this needs to be put on the map. We should be so proud of this one can, and every one of those volunteers deserves a medal, because they're working their socks off in there for people who've just maybe taken a wrong turn or made a bad decision or got an illness. You know, there should be no shame in saying I need the food bank, because that's why we're here and that's what it's here for.
And what about young Henry, who you met earlier?
Brilliant. You know, we had it's really given me faith in future generations here, because you've got a 9-year-old boy who I think was 6, he was saying, when he, you know, went into lockdown, as we all did. He thought, what can I do? Because people can't go to the shops now, because he must have heard all the stories on the news about people not being able to go here or there and everything. He got his neighbours to start donating, and then donating to the one can, and then started helping out with getting donations for families at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old he is now. Blew me away, you know. Wow, I wasn't doing anything like that at his age, and so I was proud to pass on a Wycombe signed shirt from all the players who I know will be behind this, and he went away with a smile on his face. But like I say, you know, we're so lucky. We are so lucky, and it's nice to be able to come down here and maybe, you know, get a taste of what it could be if we're not so lucky, and these people volunteer, come in here and try and make life better for people, and I think it's an amazing thing.
And Wycombe fans, when they come to Adams Park, they can donate to One Can Trust, because there's donation points around the stadium.
I'll be donating. Don't worry about the Wycombe fans, because I think we should. You know, I really do. If you can donate, you know, if every person could donate just something, we'd have, you know, it would be so good for the. How many, you know, 4,000 people come down. If we could all donate something, this place would be teeming. They'd have to get a bigger premises. They'd have to apply to the council to get them a bigger premises, because you're getting all these donations. That's my aim. You know, I want to try and increase the, you know, the profile of the One Can Trust. I think it's an amazing organisation. Like I say, not just food, not just parcels that are helping people to live, actual care, and there's children, there's vulnerable adults, there's mental health issues. They cover everything here. Blown away and proud to be a part.
One Can Trust Ambassador Gareth Ainsworth speaking to Wanderers TV. Joe Belshaw, who's the charity's operations manager, also spoke to Phil as well.
So, Joe, you've just met Gareth Ainsworth and given him a tour, as part of the tour here, of what's going on at the One Can Trust Food Bank. How important is it to reach out to people like Wycombe Wanderers in the community?
Oh, it's hugely important. You have such a huge following and a huge number of fans. Anything we can do to spread the word wider and reach more people to support us in so many different ways, whether that's volunteering, donating food, and actually people who might need our help as well and need our food parcel support. So you guys are amazing and been so hugely supportive. We're really grateful to have your support reaching those people.
So what is the list of things that you need from the community?
Things like UHT milk, meat meals, cooking sauces, pasta sauce, curry sauces, loo rolls. We all need loo rolls. So, yeah. Do you know what? Anything. Right now here in the warehouse, we try and buffer our supplies within 2 and 4 weeks' worth, but actually a lot of the stock lines are less than 2 weeks' worth right now just because demand is so high. So all we don't want is anything with alcohol or homemade food, but anything else we use right now. So thank you. That would be amazing.
There's a great atmosphere here with the volunteers as well. So you're always looking for volunteers?
Yes, we are, particularly so on the run-up to Christmas. In that last week, we're going to be doing double deliveries because we will be closed between Christmas and New Year. So if anyone would like to help pack parcels or deliver parcels to anywhere in South Bucks, we'd love to hear from you. Our website is onecantrust.org.uk and the phone number is 01494 512 277. And if I could just put a shout out for further volunteers to help with our food drives. Every weekend we're out at the local supermarkets asking and encouraging customers to donate extra food, and people have been hugely supportive both in their time and donating to us. So anyone who fancies joining us at a food drive, we'd be very, very welcome, and we're really lovely to hear from them.
And how long have you been involved here?
About 2.5 years now, so yeah, I love it. I'm very, very proud of what I do here.
So you get a real sense of achievement from taking part in what goes on here?
I do, and it's a lovely atmosphere. Everybody's here because they want to give something back. We hear that time and time again, and I think with that common purpose, it's just a great place to work. I'm very proud, as I say, of what I do here.
Joe Belshaw from One Can Trust speaking to Wanderers TV. Manager Gareth Ainsworth visited the warehouse on Tuesday. In more community news and another great initiative that the club is supporting, this coming Saturday, Adams Park is the venue for Wycombe Homeless Connection's Big Sleep Out 2022. Registration is now closed for the event, but you're very welcome to sponsor it and those taking part. Just search on Just Giving page for Big Sleep Out 2022. It's your opportunity to swap your bed for a sleeping bag and raise money and awareness to help change the lives of people who are homeless or facing homelessness in our community. The Origin Stand at Adams Park is going to be a place for many to sleep the night on Saturday. A number of people doing it from home as well. Homelessness affects the lives of hundreds of people in our community, the charity says, and thousands more are facing homelessness. But we offer hope and help, and you can too. Plenty of ways that you can get involved and support the event both at Adams Park and at home. Perhaps you're doing it yourself. Wish you all the very best for that, and hopefully you can raise loads of money for Wycombe Homeless Connection. That's the Big Sleep Out 2022, both at home and at Adams Park on Saturday.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from Bobby Lynch, who's a Wycombe Wanderers Women's player who, if you've heard the build-up show on a Saturday, she often appears on that, has actually played too many times for the club in recent times for a number of reasons, which will be explained very soon. We'll hear from the manager, Carl Simon, as well. Wycombe Wanderers Women's first team losing by 2-0 last weekend against Abingdon United, but they're back in action this Sunday, and there's a great opportunity for you to go and see them as well. The club have got a fantastic offer on. If you're a season ticket holder with the men's team, you can get a discount. More on that to come as well. Of course, the men's first team not in action this weekend due to it being the second round of the FA Cup. But as we turn our attention to women's football, a message for the Chairgirls from an actual Lioness, the England and Manchester United women's goalkeeper, Mary Earps.
Hello, Wycombe Wanderers Women. Just wanted to wish you all the best for your season in games. Keep enjoying your football, and I hope to see you at a game of ours very soon.
Fantastic to hear from her. A great inspiration for women's football, and not least, of course, for Wycombe Wanderers Women, who have not only their first team, but reserves and under-18s as well. I've been fortunate enough to speak to manager Carl Simon, who is preparing, obviously, as I say, for the game against Ascot on Sunday. And here are his thoughts.
Well, it's been difficult past few weeks. We won't hide from that. Performances have been okay. They've been improving. There was a stage where we were making a few mistakes, but, that happens when you've got a lot of new players who are new to the league, new to the tier, that they're learning as well. But overall, we're seeing progression step by step with each game, and, we've mostly lost games by the odd goal, so that gives us encouragement. And we just try and, work episodically and correct things at training and, believe in the process and we come out the other side. Halfway of the season now, so now's the time to start pushing on.
I guess as well, especially with yourself and Dan coming in, it must take a while to get the teams kind of play how you want and get everyone in the positions that you think. Have you got sort of an idea of, is that sort of coming together now?
The way we want to play has been implemented, and it goes all the way through from the under-18s and also the reserves, who are getting really good results. And the thing for us really is that we're trying to be as fair as we can and give every player opportunity within the first team. And sometimes you have to suffer in that process by only giving people an opportunity, giving them a try at it. And results don't always go your way. In the first half of the season, we decided that we were going to, we brought a lot of players in, so we had to give them that opportunity. So we thought we'd go that way and give them that fair opportunity. But now we're pretty much, understand where we are with most of the players, and we're looking now more results-based rather than development-based. We know how we want the team to play. The players understand that now. It's now using the players who are best suited for the system, who can get us results and push forward for the rest of the season.
Something which has really stood out and must have impressed you is the character that the team has showed. There have been a couple of occasions where they've been 4-0 down and come back to 4-3.
The character of the players is immense. And the group that we have, we have 56 players signed up, and most training sessions we have over 40 players training, other than injured or work commitments, etc. And it's really good. The players' attitude, whoever makes the 16 for match days for the first team, the attitude's been really, really good, and the environment, which is the most important thing, is really good. And creating a new culture takes time. Changing the culture from almost a hobby, and let's be honest, a lot of the players, they pay to play and all the rest of it, but we're trying to make it more vocational than just hobbyish, and that's a change in mindset for the players. They've got to train twice a week. They have to have a certain amount of professionalism, how they go about their work, and that's a change from what they've been used to. So that's been challenging for some people, but we're getting there now, I think, and everyone's buying into it.
And something that really comes across to the players that we've spoken to is the real togetherness in the dressing room and a real kind of feeling of family as well.
The dressing room's amazing at the moment, and yeah, family's a thing. With the coaches too, sometimes we'll have the under-18 coaches with us, or reserve team coaches with us, and players from throughout the squad, and the senior players. They really do look after the younger ones as they come up, and everyone feels really comfortable. And yes, it is very much a family feel, as is the Wycombe way, right?
No, definitely. And really pleasing that the signings you've been able to make. You brought in a lot of players in the summer, and most recently Sally as well. Great additions to the side.
Yeah, Sally's not an addition. She's someone who was, when I came, she was in the reserves, previously under 18s, and we've been watching her in training and application. She does all the sessions. She comes in and does the strength and conditioning at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So her commitment to the club and wanting to perform well for Wycombe Wanderers, it just shines through. And we're so happy for her that she's now making a bit of a mark on the first team. It's not over yet, but she's definitely doing very well for us at the moment.
And there seems to be really strong performances throughout the team. You had a goalkeeper player of the match award recently, and many other players as well who've really stood out.
Yeah, I remember when we first laid eyes on young Emily down at the Rye. She popped down and saw us, and straight away you could see she had something special. She's a real talent, only young, but she works really hard as well, and she travels all the way up from Oxfordshire to train with us. Her commitments, without question, and week by week, as Dan said, you can just see her growing. Ed Taunton, our goalkeeper coach, works really closely with her, and her improvement has been fantastic. So. Really pleased with how she's developing, and also the work of Ed on the goalkeeping section.
And the leadership sort of structure that you've got within the team as well. I know we've spoken to Cara and Amy recently, who are really proud to sort of have that role and to play that more senior part in the team. Yeah, definitely. And we've got Bobby Lynch as well, who does a lot of good work behind the scenes for us. She's obviously out of the ACL, so we should be back start of the new year. Really nice leadership group, and they're key to the environment and the atmosphere and the culture that we're trying to create. They lead by example. They're warm and friendly people. They have humility, and they're professional, and the players see that, and they want to aspire to it. So yeah, it's really important for us and vital to have those players, and thankful for their contribution. So you've got Ascot at home this weekend. A great opportunity with the men's team not in action for perhaps some new fans to come and see the girls in action. Yes, well, we're trying our best on that one to
generate some support. Hopefully we can get some of the Wycombe faithful to come and cheer us on, and that would be great if they could come down to the Burnham Stadium. So yeah, hopefully we're looking for a bumper crowd on Sunday. Be a really big game against Ascot. The last game was fantastic, really enjoyable game. I'm sure if people come down on a Sunday, they'll be more than entertained.
Because they're a side you only faced recently, and that was a very creditable draw, and they were top of the table at the time.
Yeah, definitely. And we were going into that game, obviously, off of a run of poor results, having made some critical errors, things that we've really worked hard on in training that we've erased now within the team performances. So we're really looking forward to facing Ascot again.
And what are you looking for from the team in the second half of the season?
We're looking for results now. If anyone who comes to our games, you'll see that we have most of the possession. We play really good football, and in some occasions we score a lot of goals, but we just need to put it all together and start picking up some results, really. And like last week, obviously we're playing Amadon United, who, a team that's been together for 6 years. Half the team used to play for Wycombe. These are a group of players who have played at a higher level, and they've been together for a long time. And it's a challenge when you're trying to go in with a team of players who played 4 or 5 games together to navigate that. And we came out of that game with a 2-0 loss, but we could have scored a goal earlier on, and that would have changed the whole complexion of the game. And it's the little fine margins. I think the players are realising now that actually we are good enough to compete with the teams at the top of the league, and we just need to start getting the goals that we deserve and cut out the silly mistakes, which I think we have done now, and we can start kicking on.
Head coach of Wycombe Wanderers Women, Carl Simon, speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound on the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Some breaking news ahead of Sunday's kick-off, a fixture at home, the Burnham 1878 Stadium. If you are going along to see Wycombe Wanderers Women against Ascot, the kick-off time has now changed to 1:30. That's due to light. That's only happened in the last few minutes. So, yes, if you are popping along to support the Chairgirls on Sunday, it was a 2 o'clock kick-off, but that now starts at 1:30. So make sure you're there in plenty of time. If you had a Sunday lunch planned, might need to reschedule that slightly. Carl mentioned in his chat a fantastic story, if you like, about Bobby Lynch, who is also one of the senior players and part of the leadership team. Not featured too much for the Chairgirls due to injury. She's been out with an ACL problem, but having had an operation and is on her way back, hopes to be fit very, very soon. And I've been speaking to her as well.
My time at Wycombe is actually, if people have heard me on the Saturday shows, they'll know, my time at Wycombe has been quite long, but I've actually not played many games because of lockdown. Affected my first 2 seasons, and then my injury, so ACL injury, affected last season and this season.
So what's your recovery? Hopefully your recovery is going well, though.
Yeah, it's going really well. I've invested and I'm doing strength and conditioning with a 1-to-1 a couple of times a week, which is going really well. And then obviously staying at football, doing a bit more of my rehab whilst the girls are training and stuff like that.
Has it been quite difficult, though, being on the outskirts, if you like?
Yeah, it has. Last season I found it more difficult, I think, because it was quite fresh, whereas this season, the comeback is on. So, I'm getting there to a point where, I don't find it as frustrating, whereas last season I was waiting for my operation right until the end of the season. So that was harder. So I wasn't around as much last year. But this year I'm in with the squad, I'm there, just not playing.
Has it been quite nice as well to kind of watch the transition of the team with the new manager and the new signings?
Yeah, it's been really interesting, and I think the club has stepped up a level in terms of the women's section. We've gone back to training twice a week, like we always talk about, got a new home ground and all of that, which is going really well. And the level of professionalism has just stepped up, and that's something that I have been used to throughout my career playing, for Oxford and other teams like that. Whereas some of the girls haven't experienced that before, so it's a good mixture now of people stepping up to a new level, which is going really well. And that's obviously thanks to Carl, thanks to the club for getting on board and providing us with all the opportunities, and it's doing really well.
It really feels like there's a blend of youth and experience in the team.
Yes, the girls who like to remind me that I'm nearly double their age are all stepping up. On Sunday, I think we fielded 4 or 5 16 to 18-year-olds. And they've come up, they've stepped up into the first team this year and have continued to impress and, have really made a statement that they are in this team and that they can compete at this level.
I'm really impressive to see the reserves and the under-18s doing so well. And like you say, that sort of pathway for them to come through to the first team.
Yeah, definitely. It really highlights it as well, I think. Like the game against Ascot where we drew 1-1, that for us was a really good result. They were sitting top of the league. We had come off the back of 2 1-0 defeats. So, we had a team there where we fielded a load of, I think 4 players had played for the 18s on a Saturday as well. So that just shows you. And then one of the reserve players started for the first team that game as well. So it just shows you how much the pathway is open and how the girls can get from those teams and come up to the first team. We didn't really make a big enough deal about it as well. I think 5 girls signed from Wycombe EDA or GDA in the summer, and that's Emily Strange, our goalkeeper, and a couple of the other girls who are making an impact as well. They all signed and they've been at Wycombe for several years.
And really nice to have these new additions as well come in from other clubs. And you brought in Sophie most recently, who I got a bit confused with my chat with Colin, and I said Sally was a new signing, and he said Sally's not a new signing. I thought, oh no, I think I meant Sophie. But really nice to have things freshened up as well.
So Sophie came in from QPR, so she knows a few of the girls that I've played with before. And very good signing for us. I mean, she started for her debut and then scored a goal as well on that debut, which is really good. Sally has come up from the reserves, She was in and out of in pre-season. She played with the first team a couple of times, then went off on holiday and has been with the reserves. But now she's, come. She got an assist and a goal in the game last week. So, I mean, she's doing really well at the moment.
And Carl was also saying it's really nice to have that sort of leadership group within the group, which obviously you're kind of part of as well.
That's like myself, Cara, Lynch, who I know you've spoken to both of them before. It is really good, and a really good group of girls that have been at the club a little bit longer than most people now, So having us there and we can communicate with Carl back and forth and have that young group of players we've got now coming through, and the sign-ins, all of them, they're still quite young. So the leadership group, is really important actually.
So we're sort of at the halfway point of the season. What's been your sort of assessment of the way things have gone so far? Some disappointing results, but some great performances and some great, as we spoke with Carl, character with the team as well, coming from 4-0 down to 4-3 a couple of times.
I wish we would stop doing that. Giving people head starts, I know. But do you know what? It's frustrating because we're playing really well and the scorelines don't always reflect that. And, we're not playing badly and we're not getting outplayed by other teams. We're just conceding goals and then having to catch up, which we can't quite do. So it's been quite a frustrating start to the season in terms of results. But actually, it is a transition, and it is, for everyone, transition for the players that have been here, who now have a new manager. It's transition for the new management, the players that have come in. So everyone's new, and I think it does take these couple of games and maybe even a season or two for everything to settle and get the results we deserve. But I think we will get there, and we're now at the point where we're going to play the teams we've already played again, because our league is very short. So hopefully we can right a few of those results and get the result that we actually deserved in the first place.
And does it feel like there's a real increase in interest in the club, especially since the Lionesses did so well in the summer?
Yeah, definitely. You just notice with even from my point of view at the moment with social media, it's the interaction on social media and the interest from the club's fans and stuff has just rocketed. And that's obviously thanks to the Lionesses and thanks to the work I've putting in with the club and working with Matt and Phil to really raise our profile.
And obviously this weekend there's no men's fixture, so it'd be great to really capitalise on that. I know there's a special offer on for season ticket holders of the men's team. They can get a great deal to come and watch you on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday. So it's only £1 if you've got a season ticket with the men's club, and then it's £3 if you're not a season ticket holder for the men's club, and kids are always free. So every weekend that is. So yeah, with no men's fixture, we are hoping to see a couple more fans down. We do get a few anyway. People have really started to come down and follow our results and stuff. And everyone who's come down, we've had some positive feedback. So I think it's a good way to spend your Sunday.
No, definitely. And how long till we see you back on the pitch yourself?
I don't know. I probably wishful thinking when I say just after Christmas. But hopefully around then.
Well, it's been brilliant to speak to you. Thank you very much for your time.
That's all right.
Great chat to Bobby Lynch, who, as I say, hopefully we'll see back on the pitch very, very soon for Wycombe Wanderers Women. A quick reminder that the kick-off time for Sunday's game against Ascot is now 1:30 because of light. It's been was due to be at 2, so if you are going down to Burnham's Ground, the 1878 Stadium, to watch the Chairgirls in action, that's that earlier kick-off time. No fixture, of course, for the men's team this weekend, of course, I'm sure you're aware, because of the second round of the FA Cup. So lots to work on ahead of next weekend's game against Portsmouth. That's on Sunday. I'll be on the telly as well. So we'll have live commentary, of course, here on Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV. Until next week's show, do have a great week. Don't forget, if you've just tuned in and you've missed it, there'll be a podcast version available from tomorrow. Do enjoy, and as I say, have a great 7 days.